Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hello, guys. I am so ready for this month. Now, it's a month of love. It's a month of celebration. It's a lot of things going on, but I want to do something that's a little non-traditional this time around. Now, what I want you to kind of think about in this case is perhaps you may have a partner or a spouse or someone that you really care about. So if you love me, create a plan. And when I say create a plan, I mean kind of along the lines of last week's episode is when things go wrong. So we all like to ignore the inevitable. No one wants to talk about what happens if someone gets sick or they end up in the hospital or a procedure goes wrong. And I actually had to watch my parents make end-of-life decisions during my dad's cancer treatments. It was scary. I did not want to do it. I did not like it. And it was very, very scary. Now, I work in healthcare, so I'm no stranger to this. And I'm going to add my 2 cents and just talk to you about my experience with this, as well as give you some tips and tools to kind of walk through this, because it is a lot and it's also very important. And I've seen way too many people not have these types of things in place or not want to have the conversation because it's quote unquote too hard, and it causes problems. So advanced care planning is one of those things that is critical. So basically, what that means is, what would you like to happen, or what would you like to have carried out if you became severely ill or unable to make your own medical decisions? Now, for some of us, we might undergo surgery or treatments for many, many things. Sometimes you might go in for a routine treatment and you're just getting an ultrasound on your thyroid gland, and then all of a sudden, oops, you have nodules. You go in, you get a biopsy, and next thing you know, it's cancerous. Now, regardless of the course of action or how things may happen in your life, having this kind of advanced care plan in place can really make things simpler for you, as well as your loved ones. We're going to walk through a process for this. Now, I have about 3 tips for you guys, technically 3.5, but I want you all to understand just some of the verbiage and some of the things that can be really helpful, or things that you might be asked of when you're at the hospital or even a clinic. So the first thing is, I want you to decide if you want a proxy, meaning someone who shares your same values, your same ideals about life and about treatment, and figure out who that's going to be ahead of time. You want to decide on things like, do you want to be resuscitated in the event of an emergency? Do you want to be on life support? Do you want to be on partial plans for life support? Or do you want to have blood products? Do you not want to have all of the blood products? There are a lot of different things that you can decide whether or not you want throughout this process. So it's really good when you're healthy to make those decisions. make your requests known. So you can do this in multiple ways. So you can have a living will. You can also have a durable power of attorney. So in that case, that's more of a legal document that basically assigns the proxy. It's written on paper, so there's no question about it. So when you have a living will, you can document that when you go to the doctor and say, hey, in the event that something goes wrong, this is the person that I can share information about my medical history with. They can make those decisions for me. And you have the option of giving the hospital staff or the clinic staff the names and numbers of those people. And let's say if you're in the hospital and someone else calls that isn't on that designated list, the hospital won't share anything with them. Typically, from a HIPAA perspective or a privacy perspective, you don't have to give anyone information about you when you're in the hospital. So I want to make sure that we're very clear on that. But you have the option to decide who can call to check on you to get updates about what's going on with you in the hospital. Now, keep in mind, nurses, doctors, medical staff, they only provide you information on a quote unquote need to know basis. So they're not going to give you the full spiel of what's going on with that person. So I also want to make sure I manage expectations for you. So don't call expecting to get a full workup or review of what happened or play by play, because they're not going to do that because legally they can't. So with that being said, you want to make sure that you have copies of those documents in your medical record. The next thing, if something goes wrong, do you want to donate your organs? Is that something that you want to do? If so, or if not, make sure that you have that documented somehow in your medical record. Then we kind of get to the easy part, so to speak. So if you know that you're going to have some type of procedure done, or if you know that you're going to have a hospital stay, have a hospital bag for both you or a loved one. If it's you, then all you have to worry about is yourself, but make sure that whoever is going with you or is going to be involved in your care knows where it is and can bring it to you. So with that hospital bag, you want to make sure that you have the essentials. A lot of times the hospital will issue a basic sanitary kit, meaning toothbrush, toothpaste, foam, tooth/gum cleaning utensils, a hairbrush, a comb, and socks. Those are the basics. If there are things that you know that will make you more comfortable, you should pack that. For example, underwear, socks, pair of pants or a skirt or a dress, and a top. Depending on where you are, make sure you have a jacket, scarf, hat, gloves, etc. so that once you're discharged, you will have something warm to put over you. Tennis shoes, of course, or dress shoes if appropriate. And make sure that during the admission process, or if you're going in for a procedure, that you either have a list of what's in your bag documented, or make sure that when the hospital staff is asking you what you have, that you tell them, especially if something is valuable. And in a lot of cases, they have a safe that you could put those things in, or you can give it to a loved one. So don't feel like you have to kind of sleep with your wallet between your legs or anything like that. You can totally have those items secured. Now, the other thing that I want you to make sure that you have is a list of medications and your allergies. Now, especially if you're going somewhere that you're not familiar with, or if it's a new facility, a lot of times they're not going to know that they can easily request your medical information especially if you utilize an electronic medical record. It's becoming a lot more easy now to share that information, but again, not everyone knows that that is possible. So you have the ability to request a section of your records from another facility, but just have it written down. Just make it easy, especially if you have allergies, because sometimes what'll happen, especially if you're taking a new medication, the hospital staff might want to watch it because sometimes the benefit of that medication might outweigh the risk. So even though that medication might make you feel a bit crappy, what it's doing for you overall may supersede the feelings or side effects. Now, I am not a proponent of taking a medication that makes you feel bad. I'm just letting you know that sometimes they may want to watch it. Now, I will tell you this. If you have a very bad reaction to a medication, that is the first thing that I want you to list and mention when you get to the hospital. Because a lot of times what will happen is suddenly something will go on and you might be allergic to Benadryl, for example, and that's the main thing that people often will give you when you're having either an anaphylactic reaction or you're having an allergic reaction. And if you're not capable of speaking and they give you the Benadryl, it can make it worse. So be very clear with those types of allergies. The other thing that you want to make sure that you have in that hospital bag is just something that'll make you more comfortable. Whether it's a book or music or anything like that, have something that is going to keep you calm, because your nerves are going to be high and it's going to be a lot happening. So it's really important that you have just one thing that will make you happy. Now, I've covered a lot in this and I want to just do a recap. So when it comes to having procedures and or hospital admissions, you want to make sure that you have a plan related to what can happen if things go wrong and you're unable to make medical decisions for yourself. The next thing you want to decide is if you want to have a living will, or you can take it a step up and go to a lawyer and get a durable power of attorney. What you also want to make sure is you decide whether or not you want to donate organs. And lastly, be prepared and have a hospital bag packed. So that's why I kind of said it was like a 3.5 kind of thing, because the hospital bag isn't necessarily the end all be all, but it can make your hospital stay a little bit more comfortable. So I just want to make sure you guys have that information so that you're able to make more informed decisions. So with that, friends, I hope that you are well, that you are happy and whole. So I can't wait to talk to you about some more fun things next week. So take care.
Okay, thyroid warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.